Terms and conditions apply.
For your Gulf Coast Sports Minute, I'm JP. The Gulf South Conference will delay the start of intercollegiate competition in the fall semester to either the last week of September or the first week of October. Administrators from across the league will jointly work on a schedule that fits the timeline for competition in an effort to provide a meaningful fall competition season for conference members. To accommodate this new schedule, soccer, volleyball, and football will exclusively play against conference opponents. New schedules and additional details on the implementation of the delayed fall season will be distributed by the conference as they are approved by the membership. On the bright side, UWF is planning to play in the fall. In our recruiting spotlight this week, Wayman Jordan for the Catholic Crusaders. Jordan is clearly one of the best backs in the country for the 2022 cycle after rushing for over 1,500 yards and 16 touchdowns while averaging 8.7 yards per rush during his second season of prep ball. With interest already from Florida State, Alabama, Georgia Tech, West Virginia, Clemson, Tennessee, Buffalo, and USF, I'd say Wayman is a young man to look out for on Friday nights. That's your Gulf Coast Sports Minute. I'm JP.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
For this week in sports history, I'm JP. In 1983, Gaylord Perry joins Nolan Ryan and Steve Carlton to reach 3,500 career strikeouts. He also wins his first game as a Royal. In 1989, Braves' Dale Murphy hits 2 3-run home runs in an inning. 14th man to hit 2 home runs in an inning, also ties the record of 6 RBIs in an inning. In 1991, U.S. Senior Open Men's Golf Oakland Hills Country Club, Jack Nicklaus matches course record of 65 to beat Chi Rodriguez by 4 strokes in an 18-hole Monday playoff. In 1993, Detroit Tiger and Pensacola native Travis Fryman hits for the cycle but loses 12-7 to the Yankees. In 1997, A's first baseman Mark McGwire becomes MLB's top home run hitter to be traded in the middle of the season when he moves from Oakland to St. Louis. And in 2001, the 88th Tour de France has no winner as Lance Armstrong is disqualified. That's This Week in Sports History. I'm JP.
Football season never ends on Talk Football with Coach K.
Stidham is tearing it up at New England. He may well be the incumbent to Tom Brady there.
Former head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Coach K brings his expertise as he breaks down the game, the players, the coaches, and the front office. Plus, high-profile interviews from the biggest names in football. Talk Football with Coach K every weekday from noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1.
This Thursday at 5:30, tune into the Sports Drive with me, Chad Brillante, when we tee it up with PGA and head pro at Osceola Golf Course, Adrian Stills, for his inside scoop on local golf events and some entertaining stories around the links. Adrian has represented Pensacola at the highest levels of the PGA Tour and is proud to call Pensacola his home. And now he's giving you the inside scoop Thursday at 5:30, right here on the Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gulick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome in to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson. On this Monday afternoon, hope everybody had a great weekend. Hopefully you're staying safe. Of course, washing your hands, continuing to social distance. I know cases have, well, today we got good news. I mean, any news is good news. Case has gone down a little bit. I believe we're in the low 100s. We'll take that with the way things have been going around here. Nonetheless, look, as we always start off our show, we have a ton to get to today. Good news, bad news, a little bit of everything here. Be talking some football with you. But we want to thank our first responders and healthcare workers at this time. I think, once again, we say it always goes without saying, but we're going to say it. Make that very clear. We thank those folks for what they do, putting themselves on the front lines each and every day. And you don't believe they put themselves on the front lines every day? Well, ask them. I'm sure they would tell you some of the things that would blow your mind. Things we don't even know that are going on around in our communities, they protect us from. They get us back to normal. I think the healthcare systems obviously have been doing a pretty good job around here. Those first responders have been working extra hard. I mean, which is saying a lot for the job that they do each and every day. But we thank them so much for what they do. Once again, I know we have a lot of unrest in our country. We have a lot of people that have different beliefs and things like that, and nothing wrong with that. Look, we respect everybody's belief and everybody's opinion. Make that very clear. But on this show, Coach, I think I don't want to speak for anybody other than myself, but me and you've talked quite a bit, and we have so many fantastic first responders and healthcare workers. When we talk about police officers, firefighters, EMT personnel, nurses, doctors, we thank all those folks. And I know that there's been a couple folks that are have done the wrong thing, but don't let a few bad eggs ruin everything, because we have so many great folks when it comes to first responders, healthcare workers. You know what? We just want to send a shout out to those folks. If you're listening and you're one of those, thank you so much for what you do. We truly, truly appreciate it. As well as, look, grocery store employees, truck drivers, all the essential workers. Went out to get some groceries yesterday. Those folks are out there working extra hard, wearing their mask, wearing gloves, trying to protect us, getting groceries something that we're used to doing, make it as normal as possible, trying to sanitize everything from carts to aisles to whatever it may be, and keep people social distance. So when you go out there, just be a little patient, take a little extra time. I know that some people are in a rush, but you can't be in a rush nowadays. We got to follow the protocols. We got to do what we got to do, and we thank those folks for what they do. Truck drivers, the silent heroes out there, we forget about them, but we couldn't have anything without those folks working day in and day out for what they do. All the essential workers. Maybe you didn't know you were essential. Well, there you go. You are now. And, Coach, like I said, I know I try to speak just for myself here, but I feel like, me and you are on the same page for this. But how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and as always, I appreciate what you say to such show each day, and gosh, I certainly feel the same way, and we just can't thank these people enough. Wish we had more time to do it, but you're in our thoughts, and then we do thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's and once again, to help these people out, and I'm not, once again, no political statement here, I'll make this very clear, just for the safety, whether you believe it helps or not, even if it helps the slightest bit, if you're out and about, being around people, whatever it may be, just throw a mask on if you can. I want to make that very clear. I'm not trying to force anything on anybody, but if you can, do it. If it helps even in the slightest bit, it's worth it, especially in this time right now. We're going to get back to normal. We're going to be stronger for this, and you know what? We're going to talk some football with you. Starting out, though, this is interesting enough. We're not going to talk some football, but we're talking something that does pertain to football with what's going to happen. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put this out there. Obviously, people probably already know that 2 MLB games, Major League Baseball, we got to finally see a little bit of it this weekend. 2 games have been postponed right now. Now, the Miami Marlins had 11 players test positive over the past few days, and as a precautionary move, with the Marlins who just played the Phillies-Yankees matchup will be postponed, as will the Marlins and Orioles matchup. Of course, those teams are set to have some home games there. This did not happen in Miami. I just want to make that clear. Derek Jeter made sure he made that clear this morning in a tweet. But nonetheless, Coach, it pertains to the NFL and college football because, look, everybody's talking about, we should have been in a bubble. Well, some things you can do in a bubble, some can't. Now, when we're talking about the NFL and college football, you can't really put them in a bubble. You can put them in a bubble to a certain extent, but once you start playing games and travel and things like that, you can't really do it. So, Coach, this is obviously a virus we're going to be living with for the foreseeable future. I think the big thing is how did the MLB react to this news? If they postpone the season, all the teams, I think is going to be a bad move personally because the majority, obviously, of these teams have been just fine, have had 0 positive tests. And any guy, I want to make this clear, as a Reds fan, any guy that even has symptoms of not feeling very well, the Reds had 2 players that did not feel well. They went ahead and sat them out. They sat them out for the foreseeable future right now. just as a precaution. They didn't have to do that. MLB didn't force them to do that. These teams are policing themselves to that extent. So I think that's a good move. They're taking extra precautions to try to get these games going. But I know Commissioner Rob Manfred of the MLB is, of course, having a meeting with all 30 teams right now. So we'll see what happens from there. But, Coach, this is going to be something. We can't be surprised by positive tests because it's going to happen to some extent. But when you look at this, how does this compare to the NCAA with college football, and how does this compare with the NFL?
Well, there are drastic differences, to be honest with you. And I think our fans out there should be aware of that. Don't let what's happened to Major League Baseball think that this is going to be a model for football, both on the college scene and pro. And look at the differences. Major League Baseball, while they've done quite a bit, they really have not taken the steps that that basketball and supposedly football are going to do from the professional level. Now, basketball, talk about something that is much, much simpler to do, is put them all in one place with very stringent rules. And as you saw this past weekend, had one guy violate that, and they should deal with that drastically up there. But anyway, you only got 15 players on a team, and even with a supporting cast, you're not talking about that many people. And you can put them all in one space, and they just need a gymnasium to play in. That's not the case with baseball and football, and in particular, you've got to have large fields and wide open spaces. So that's one big difference. But what they're doing in the National Football League with the testing and with the rules that will be enacted, as I understand it now, this is a little inside information, with most of the teams, they're going to come down pretty hard with the regulations. Now, too, it's easier for the National Football League because they don't have as many people, and because they've got one central location to direct the league from, and they're spending whatever money they need to spend to prepare for it. College football is going to be different. My goodness, you've got political people, presidents, college presidents, boards of directors, athletic directors, financial experts. You've got so many coaches, so many people involved in the decision. It's going to be hard to make. I still maintain that the larger schools and the National Football League will play football this fall, but they're going to learn a lot from this baseball deal, and I'll assure you that there's going to be some discipline applied when they start training camps and if they return to baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing that, you talk about the NBA and the bubble, that you see some guys that are not following the rules, and we'll see what they do with that because obviously you can violate that. But when you look at the NFL, Coach, like you were talking about, it came out that NFL players who contract the coronavirus through high-risk activity away from team facilities can face team discipline and might be at risk of not being paid and the potential of obviously being released. Now, so this is going to be interesting. Like you said, the NFL knows what they need to do. The players should know. They may know, but we'll see if they follow it at the same time. Once again, I think it's important when we look at this. I do want to bring up something that Andy Reid had talked about in all this. And, I was going to save it for a little bit later, but I think it's just the perfect timing right now. Andy Reid, obviously, we had him on the show not too long, a couple weeks ago. The Super Bowl winning coach right there for the Kansas City Chiefs, wanted to make things clear. And he said, this time, this isn't us versus them, talking about the NFL versus the NFL Players Association. This isn't the players versus owners and coaches. This is all of us, players, coaches, owners, and teams versus COVID. He goes on to talk about, look, he got on the phone with the union guys. He has a lot of respect for them. They had concerns that we take care of the players physically. They insisted on that. The union did a nice job. Their concern was that the coaches, we don't just throw them in the mix right away, don't ramp them up too fast, which is smart. And he goes, we can do that. He goes on to talk about, though, that, look, we're all in this thing together. We need to understand that it's going to take the entire NFL there. When you talk about players, coaches, owners, everything, to make this work. And that's where I think we talk about this, where we're seeing in the NBA right now, where a player goes out and he says, well, I was just going to get food. There's rules you're going to have to follow if you want this to have to work. And if you can't do that, simply then bow out. I mean, you have the option to bow out. It's understandable for people to say, well, they need to pay bills. And well, you know what? There's things that I would love to do outside of my job, but I have to show up and do my job. And if you're listening to this show, it's the same thing. You can't just kind of do your own thing, even because you're an athlete. There's rules that you're going to have to follow, and it's going to be a little bit tougher nowadays. But I thought that was interesting from Andy Reid. But once again, NFL players who attend high-risk events, and this is basically kind of breaking the bubble type thing here. So understand, if you're going to go out and you're going to do something on your own, there can be a potential of a violation there that, first off, you don't want to contaminate any of your other teammates like we're seeing in baseball right now. We don't know what happened with those guys. We have no idea. They could have went out and broke the bubble. Obviously, they did something different than what they were supposed to. But then again, some guys are just going to get it. It's going to find its way in sometimes. And how do you react to that? But nonetheless, with that news as well, Coach, the NFLPA and the NFL have come to an agreement, obviously, to settle their differences with COVID-19. We know that was a part of training camp where they're going to get this done when the guys, of course, are supposed to, veterans report tomorrow. Some of them are obviously reporting now to go ahead and get their testing. But I think it's interesting. They came out and they settled their differences. So everything is on schedule right now for the NFL. I want to make very clear with that for everybody because I know rumors are swirling around on everything else, but the NFL agreed to a cap floor for 2021. Any additional losses of potential revenue will be spread out until 2024. Now, Coach, I know that you had talked about that, obviously, when you had Bill Polian on, and he said once they start spreading this out, this deal is going to get done. So no surprise there when we look at it. But the cap will remain at $198 million this year, and the cap cannot go lower than $175 million next year, but can go higher if revenues come in better than expected. So with that being said, that's good news. Now, for players considering to be high risk for COVID-19, they can earn $350,000 if they want to opt out. But if you don't have pre-existing conditions, you can earn $150,000. Now, it's far from NFL star pay, but if you're not going to play, hey, any money is probably good money. But, of course, Coach, when you hear this, I think it's good that they got this done. But once again, not a surprise they got it done, but it is good. I think, once again, going back to this, Andy Reid, his statement is very important. This is everybody together. The media wants to separate people as they are to opposite sides of the spectrum here. This is a business. We need to understand that. But the NFL and the NFLPA seem like they got it going on, Coach. So right now, everything is on schedule.
Yeah, and this baseball, that has happened in baseball, should be a great example to football as we get started here. What can happen if you go to, it doesn't matter, strip clubs or out to restaurants or out with your buddies and put yourself in situations where you're around people that aren't cleared like you are, this could happen. So it's a good example from that standpoint, and hopefully they're going to take heed, and they're going to be able to get their families to adhere to certain disciplines and make it happen. They're going to find a way to play, and they're going to be, I think, under excellent care as far as any quarantine situation that may come up, medical care, all of that. They and their families will be well taken care of. So I think all that's going to be a plus factor. And I really believe, JP, that it's not going to be long before we have some excellent treatments available for this virus and a vaccine at some point in the future that's going to be in the near future that's going to give us all a great deal of comfort knowing that there is a vaccine available. So anyway, back to football, back to the NFL. I'm not sure how colleges are going to be able to handle this in the same way that the NFL is. So I'm just not sure, even though I do feel that the safest place these young men can be is in their college environment. I've said this before, and I think it'll be proven true, that they're much safer there. They have the best medical treatment available. They'll have some rules to follow. And if they've got any smarts at all, they're going to see what happened with baseball and what could happen to them. So hopefully this is all going to help to get this done on the right footing, JP.
Yeah, Coach, and that's the one thing I was going to bring up. It's a great point there. I think, look, we try to take positives from every situation, learn from every situation, and grow from every situation. Obviously, we can't just – now, when we're talking about our country and things like that, you can't just shut everything down because of the ramifications. Now, people may disagree with that, but that's my personal opinion. I won't speak for anybody else. But we've saw what it's done to the economy for the little bit of time we shut down, and we didn't even shut down all the way. But nonetheless, when it comes to sports, I hope, I really do, that – for some of these players, whether no matter what your sport is, no matter if it's even high school football, if it's volleyball or whatever it is, that these people look at what's going on in the MLB right now, and I hope the decision the MLB makes is a smart one. I hope they don't overreact to it. But I hope we all look at this and we go, okay, so this is real, and you know what? I am not an exception to the rule. I have to follow this, even though it may be uncomfortable. I have to follow this. If you're a college football player, if you're a high school player, understanding that just because your friends may be doing one thing that you know is not necessarily what you should do, don't do it. I mean, look, blaze your own trail. Do your own thing in this. And if it's, follow protocols. Protocols are put in place to protect you, not to hurt you. Now, once again, maybe a little uncomfortable because you've never had to go through some of these things, but in the end, it is to better you. It's to protect everybody, as obviously we know health is important, but it's also to play whatever your sport is. So, hopefully with baseball, we learn a little bit of a lesson, and some guys that maybe I have no idea what happened in Miami with the Marlins, but maybe some of those guys weren't taking it as serious. So maybe they are now. Maybe baseball, maybe all these sports will look at this and learn from it. I think we go back to all the sports that we've had now, from the soccer to NASCAR and things like that. We've all taken a little bit of what they've done and say, okay, I see we can do this. We need to do that. Or we need to change it this way. So it's going to be interesting. You're right, though. With college football, it's going to be a different breed because there's a lot more moving parts when you're talking about 130 possible teams. I know some of the teams are obviously playing conference only, and what are these other conferences going to do? So it's a lot tougher for the smaller schools, but at the same time, for schools like here at UWF, it may be a little bit easier to try to maneuver because you're not in those big giant towns and things like that. We'll see. I know that Coach Shinnick and those guys are working diligently to make sure they can get that season going. As we obviously heard last week, the GSC is going to go to a conference-only schedule. So we'll see what's going to happen with it. Nonetheless, MLB, well, we're waiting to see what they're going to do, and that could also play a role in some other things as well. But with all that being said right now, NFL, the guys rookies are already there reporting to training camp. We'll talk a little bit here after the break as some players have already been cut from NFL teams, including some quarterbacks there for the Patriots. And, of course, we'll talk about Feinbaum. He's kind of changed his tune, gone back and forth, as well as the Jamal Adams situation. Now, we didn't get to it, of course, Friday. That is my fault there. But nonetheless, things have obviously ramped up as he has been traded to the Seattle Seahawks. So we'll get to all that and more when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
If you are a collector, investor, or just an avid sports fan, then listen up. Coins, sports cards, and racing collectibles in Gulf Breeze has one of the largest sports memorabilia collections in the area, with new inventory arriving weekly. If Hot Wheels is your thing, they have that too, with old, new, and special edition models to choose from. At Coins, sports cards, and racing collectibles, you can buy, sell, or trade. Located on Highway 98 in Gulf Breeze, Coins, sports cards, and racing collectibles is the place to go to collect either for fun or to invest for profits.
Only in the forest can you see this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. And you might just see this. Visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
See, very intrigued by the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Dan gets so mad that there isn't one dissenting voice.
It's not even that much of a risk, Mike. It's a 6.
Stugotz does that all the time. He doesn't get any credit for it.
I know, but no one with credibility dares risk it because they all just want to put stars up next to their name and pick the most obvious possible thing.
Thanks, Dan.
The Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz, 9 till noon, weekdays on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You can watch Coach K talk football live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you, alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson. This Monday afternoon, hope you're doing well. A little rainy outside, so if you're driving around, take a little bit longer to get where you're going. Slow down just a little bit. Coach, jumping back into this, obviously, Paul Feinbaum, now we've had him on the show a few times. He's obviously been a little bit of a, pessimist when it comes to this. And look, everybody has their own opinions. I don't fault anybody. We choose to look at it optimistically. But nonetheless, of course, this morning he's changed his tune a little bit, basically going on that he believes that, everything that he is hearing, we're going to play college football, and he believes that's the way we need to do it right now. He said no one, quite frankly, has said anything other than, if the season was to start today, Feinbaum says he believes it would. And, of course, with everything going on right now, he hasn't heard anything to think otherwise. And personally, he sees the protocols that are going on. He sees obviously things that are going on within these universities and things like this that they're doing. So,
JP, Paul has, since the baseball thing, he's recently changed his mind again just in the last hour. He now thinks it's because of what's happened to baseball that colleges present much more of a problematic option there than even baseball does. So
there you go.
He thinks that he's back on the other side again now. So Paul is back and forth. He can't get steady in the boat here.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's actually funny. It surprised me that he came back to the other side to say positive things, and now, like you said, I saw him on TV. Couldn't obviously see what he was talking about, but obviously he didn't look. He looked like that old, the pessimist that he had been before. And I'm like, once again, I want to make sure everybody, look, if you're pessimistic about it, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But for a guy like Feinbaum, back and forth, that gets old, and you lose a lot of, credibility after a while. But nonetheless, Coach, with that being said, staying in college football, the ACC, now we talked about it, they might let Notre Dame play the 2020 season as a conference member. Now, they made sure that they put out there, this is only for this year. So it's basically a one foot in, 1 foot out deal. Obviously, with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish playing independent, they have 6 teams that they are playing in the ACC. Now, they would obviously build a schedule completely with the ACC and maybe one out-of-conference schedule as we're seeing the Big 12 and the SEC kind of partner up as those all 3 conferences. That's what we think is going to happen. But nonetheless, Coach, when you look at this, bringing Notre Dame in for just 1 year, we thought that this could be the start of maybe Notre Dame they could possibly try to work them in to be an ACC, of course, an affiliate, as they are in every other sport except football, because we all know that Peacock in the corner for NBC, they make some money, but they technically would make more money being part of a conference when it comes to the TV deal. But all the other deals, who knows? I have no idea when it comes to all that money. But, Coach, so there's some rumors going around that there's obviously some ACC teams. Now, they didn't release who said this, but are getting a little aggravated with this, as it would just basically they just hop in, and then next year they hop right back out. Now, this could obviously take away a conference championship possibility for one of these other teams in the ACC. This could also obviously take away the Orange Bowl bid there for the ACC by a team which obviously we think Clemson is the team that will probably go to the playoff. We believe that this is a team that obviously could win the national championship. So that Orange Bowl bid would be up for grabs, so whoever comes in second place in the ACC. Now, whether that would be a Louisville or a North Carolina or whoever you want to choose in that boat, obviously Notre Dame is a pretty good team, so it could possibly be that team. But there's a lot of unrest with that. It was basically they're, from what they're hearing, letting Notre Dame hop in and hop out. Coach, I mean, good move for the ACC, or this may not end well for the ACC?
Well, I don't think it looks very good for the ACC. Notre Dame is playing the ACC like a drama. They need them this year because of the need for games, additional games, and possibly a conference affiliation. The ACC, the one good thing about it for them is that they can jump in and demand quite a cut of that NBC money, which they could rightfully do. They play ACC games. They could get a significant cut of those dollars, which would, in this day and time, certainly would be a benefit to them. So I think they're looking at that, plus the fact that they've got a reputation that they have to consider. They can't let Notre Dame just walk all over them. And it's going to be a tough decision there. And I can understand some of the teams saying, hey, we joined this league, we pay league dues, there are a lot of things that we had done for the ACC, and now to have Notre Dame just tiptoe in through the back door anytime they want to, in and out, is not what we bargained for. So it's a delicate, touchy situation. I have no doubt about that. And it'll be interesting to see how they finally work it out. My guess is if Notre Dame beats the games, they'll get it worked out to play the initial games with ACC teams.
Yeah, it's. I agree. I think the ACC. Look, everybody. The Notre Dame needs the ACC right now. The ACC needs Notre Dame. It would help obviously with everything going on. But it's going to be interesting to basically allowing them to come in and then jump right back out, and could take away a potential bowl bid, a high bowl bid. We'll make that a New Year's Six bowl bid from another team. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting, though. A lot of teams obviously have some displeasure with that in the ACC, and rightfully so. But, Coach, jumping into this in the NFL now, Jamal Adams, we talked about this very briefly Friday. We didn't get to it, and once again, that was my apologies on that to everybody. But, well, obviously he has been traded to the Seattle Seahawks. Now, this is interesting enough. He was traded to the Seattle Seahawks. Well, for me personally, hats off to the Jets. I thought, this is as good as it could be. If you're a Jets fan, you got to like this. Hopefully you make do with the picks that you get. But they traded him. The Seattle traded away 2 first-round picks and Bradley McDougall, as well as one other pick there to get Jamal Adams. Now, obviously Jamal Adams, when we talk about this, is something that we didn't get to all the way, but basically said about Adam Gase, their head coach, I don't feel like he's the right leader for this organization to reach the promised land. Of course, he said, as a leader, what really bothers me is that he doesn't have a relationship with everybody in the building. Now, a lot of Jets players had come out against that and was like, well, that's not really true. Look, let's be honest here. Adam Gase, a lot of people, including myself, I don't think he's the right fit, but no matter what, having a player coming out like this, we obviously know for Jamal Adams, he has had no shortage of talking But with this, I thought was funny, Coach, it comes out that running back Le'Veon Bell, the Jets running back there. Now, Le'Veon Bell has had his shots at people before, but he came out and said, people do all, and I'm reading this like he tweeted, I want to make that very clear. People do all the hooting and hollering to get you brought in, just to leave. Like, people are weird, yo. The internet got these dudes doing whatever for attention, even when they tell you, I'm not going to say the word he used, stuff they don't even believe themselves. Of course, some other players taking shots before. But, Coach, when you look at the Jamal Adams situation here, look, I think hats off to the Jets. You got rid of a guy. Look, we know he's a good player. There's no doubt he's a good player. I want to make that clear. But for a guy that is obviously causing a lot of problems, coming after your head coach like that, once again, I don't like the fact that guys can just talk to be able to do what Jamal Adams did, coming after your head coach like that, and then it puts the team in a bad situation. But nonetheless, Coach, getting 2 first-round picks, hats off to the Jets for that. But this situation, we're seeing this happen a lot more with players speaking out, and they continue to run their mouth basically until they get what they want. Coach, I just think this is a bad look for the NFL. This is a bad look when you talk about putting teams in situations like that. I mean, I just can't imagine. I know this didn't happen when you were coaching and when you were playing, because you would basically be booted out. They wouldn't think twice about it. But, Coach, what do we make of this whole entire situation?
Oh, it's a bad situation. But let's break it down. I hate that he got his wish to go to another team. But I will have to say this. I think Seattle made a terrible trade to give up 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and an existing player. And McDougal, he may not be quite the total athlete of Jamal Adams, but I'll tell you this, he's not all that far off.
No, he's not.
So they could bring him to plug him in and probably do pretty much play the same type scheme defensively that they played with Jamal. Now, let's get. I think the Jets got a good deal, but I think they set a bad example here, because how many other players think, well, I can just jump on the head coach or whatever coach and the general manager and the owner. I can get so much discontent that they'll have to trade me. There you go. That's how much one player, look at what he's done to the Jet locker room now already. And that's going to be believe me, that's going to be a problem that will present itself fairly soon in this season's in the games this season early. He's not the type guy that you'd want on your football team. I have one remedy for this. I think they have to do it from a league level. They have to from the league level that anybody that at a certain point, because there is language in the existing contract they have, certain language and certain actions by a player can be deemed a detriment to the football team, and if it goes further, a detriment to the league. In either case, there are fines and possible suspensions available. Now, for example, the league had no problem fining and kicking Tom Brady out of the league for 4 games, costing him 4 games over something that was totally innocent, I think, on his part, and was proven to be with other, the other people that were aware of the situation and what their response to it was. And yet they went ahead and suspended it for 4 games. Now, I can tell you that a verbal tirade like he did, like Jamal Adams did, and what it meant to that. Do you think that was detrimental to the New York Jets football team? Oh, you better believe it was. Was it detrimental to the league? I could argue that it has a certain bad effect on the National Football League. I think they have to come up with a stiff penalty for those who are going to go to that extent. You can't take a person's free speech away, but there are, you can't go in a movie theater and yell fire either. So I just think there has to be a common sense penalty for people who are willing to disrupt an entire organization and cast doubt on the whole league as a whole. I firmly believe that.
Yeah, Coach, I agree with you. At some point, I mean, you've got to put something in place. Now, I think, obviously, a lot of these people are scared to make that move because, obviously, with what's going on right now, how you're going to be looked upon. And it's a dark road that we're going down. Now, once again, I have no problem with free speech. Obviously, when you're talking about this, though, coming after a head coach and things like that, I don't know. I never thought, in all honesty, when I was younger, coming up, you respect every single person. You may not like that person, but you respect every single person. You give them the benefit of the doubt sometimes. But nonetheless, when you come out and verbally attack somebody and what they're doing at their job like that, I don't like it. I really don't. I don't like it when players do it to other players. I mean, but you know what? It is what it is. But coming after a head coach in a position like that, just think about this. If you came after your boss and you tweeted at your boss, yeah, my boss doesn't do a very good job. He's a poor leader. He's not the right person. As a leader myself, I can tell you what we need to do, and he's not it, and as things like that, you'll be fired. Obviously, they have the right to fire you. So when I look at this, it's a shame that this is allowed, but nonetheless, we'll see what happens, if anything happens, when it comes to allowing players to continue to do things like this. But nonetheless, for Le'Veon Bell putting it out there, it's just a shame because basically Le'Veon said, you don't even believe the things that you're tweeting out. So it is what it is. But, Coach, I know we got to go to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about some Mississippi junior colleges. If you've ever seen Mississippi junior college football, that's where a lot of your SEC stars come from. We'll talk a little bit about that, as well as a Niceville football player making his statement on where he committed to. Florida State fans, heads up on this. Maybe some good news. And the Patriots, once again, releasing 2 undrafted quarterbacks as well as some other guys as they are getting ready to get their roster down to 80 players. And we'll talk some, of course, later on in the show, NFL training camp questions. Obviously, with guys reporting tomorrow, got a lot of questions around some of our local teams as well as the Falcons, obviously the Tampa Bay Bucks, the New Orleans Saints, to name a few. We'll get into all that and more when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
What if people had a battery level icon? Like on your phone? You'd see a lot of us in need of a recharge. Thank goodness there's 5-Hour Energy. Because just one sugar-free, vitamin-packed 5-Hour Energy shot can get you all the way back to 100% fast. And isn't life better at 100%? 5-Hour Energy. Get back to 100%. For more information, visit 5hourenergy.com.
For your ridiculous facts, I'm JP. 1933 NFL franchise Cincinnati Reds survived for 2 years. The team fielded one of the worst offenses in pro football history, completing 25 passes all season without a single touchdown through the air. See, Jets fans, it could get worse. And the San Diego Chicken inexplicably was named one of the 20th century's most powerful people in sports. A chicken as a role model? I'm down with that. That's your ridiculous facts. I'm JP.
Hi, I'm Matt Kenseth. You don't have to be a race car driver to know that life can be full of drama. Some of it you can't control, like mechanical issues, high winds, and rain delays. But there's some drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
You just need to take that first step and find free classes near you and leave the drama for the racetrack.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee. Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh, dilly dilly. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
This is Davis Allen from Sports Call with Davis and Justin, and you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you, alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Monday afternoon. Appreciate you joining us on the show. Coach, I'm going to get back into this. So obviously some breaking news, not really breaking news as much as just great news. Once again, no surprise here, but I'm going to put it out there. It needs to be said. Now, with everything going on with the COVID-19 outbreak, it can make or break you sometimes. And we see obviously the worst come out in some people, and we see the best come out in some people. And I think it tells a lot about your true character sometimes. And I just want to throw this out there. Drew Brees and his wife Brittany announced another $5 million commitment through their Brees Dream Foundation to support healthcare throughout underserved communities in Louisiana. Now, if you remember, of course, the Saints quarterback and his wife pledged $5 million before in March to help Louisiana's communities get through the coronavirus pandemic. And Brees goes on to say, as we work through one of the greatest challenges in our lifetimes, our health and wellness has never been more important. He said, basically, he wants to promote health equity for all. And, of course, the Brees family will partner with Ochsner Health to build healthcare centers in the communities that need it most. The first will be in New Orleans East later this year. Coach, when you look at this is no surprise, obviously, from Drew Brees and his family there. They are such great people. They've always been about the community. They are New Orleans through and through. And you know what? I'm not a Saints fan, but man, that tugs the heartstrings pretty good to see Drew Brees continuing. Once again, that's $10 million just in a few months here he's donated. And I know for some people out there that say, well, he's got all this money. He doesn't have to do this. Look at all the other athletes that aren't donating money and things like this. I just want to throw that out there. This is out of the kindness of their heart, and they're building it towards healthcare, to give healthcare to places that don't have healthcare. I just think this is awesome, Coach.
Oh, I do too. And Drew Brees is just a fine person. He's an example for all of us, and it means all of us too. That doesn't exempt anyone. I think he does an outstanding job on and off the field. He's got a beautiful family, a wonderful family, and that's money too that could be put aside for the future of those children and their children. So he is really magnanimous with what he's doing there, and we wish him the best. I always pull for him. I wish him the best because I think I love what he does as a quarterback, and I certainly like what he does as a person.
Absolutely, Coach. You know how I feel about high-character guys, and you strive to be a person like that every day. And I want to make this clear. You may not have the money, obviously, like Drew Brees has to make, and some of these big athletes, but you can still do your part, donating any time you have. But I think the biggest thing in all this, we're hearing a lot of people talk. A lot of talk with everything going on in our country right now. Drew Brees is putting it into action, and he always has done that. For folks to say, yeah, he's just throwing money out there because of this or because of that, no, he's always put it into action. He's been out there. His family's been out there, and I just think this is awesome. Once again, you go back to what happened with Katrina and everything with the hurricane, and what their families did, what his organizations he built together did, providing food, providing homes, all these other things, and now, of course, donating another $5 million. That is just, God, it's so awesome. You know, and it makes me want to be a Saints fan, even though I am a diehard Titans fan. So I'll root for Drew Brees, no doubt about that. But nonetheless, Coach, want to jump into this, of course, going one state over to Mississippi. Now, maybe you're not a junior college fan. I actually pay attention a little bit because some pretty good football in these Mississippi junior colleges. A lot of these guys, of course, go on to play in the SEC and other big five or Power 5 conferences. But they announced, obviously, with the NJCAA, the National Junior College Athletic Association, saying a couple weeks ago that they were going to move to the spring. They said here for the Mississippi teams, they are going to play this fall. Now, they're going to start in October 1st. They're going to play a 6-game division-only schedule, and then basically going to have a playoff to follow. Just throwing that out there for people. They want to go ahead and get that taken care of. They believe that, obviously, with COVID-19 and everything, that they're following protocols, and their guys are going to get ramped up to go. Now, with that being said, I want to bring it to a local standpoint, Coach. Now, of course, 2 days ago, offensive lineman Jake Slaughter flipped from Florida State to Florida. Now, this was a big offensive lineman that Florida State was looking forward to having. Now, the reason I bring this up is, of course, last night, 3-star offensive guard Kimo Makaniole committed to FSU. Now, who is that? You say, well, if you're a Niceville football fan or anywhere in the Niceville area, you know who this young man is, the offensive lineman there. Of course, he goes on to say the reason why I committed is because I have a huge relationship with Coach Alex Atkins, the O-line coach there. Every word he said he meant, and he wants football players to be successful. He takes time to listen to the players and what they want to do. And, Coach, you know I cover high school football. I love it. It's probably my most favorite thing to do, period, especially in our area because we have so many talented players. We could talk weeks upon weeks about the players we have in our area just on the show. But nonetheless, Makaniole, it's one thing. It's funny because I mentioned when we were covering the Navarre-Niceville game last year to Dan Shugart of this offensive lineman, and Dan goes, yeah, this guy's a 3-star prospect. You never really seen this guy? I was like, no, not until tonight. And he absolutely fires off the ball. Now, he's about 285, 290. Obviously, he's got to get in the weight room. But nonetheless, this guy has the intangibles that you talk about, Coach, that you can't really – it's hard to teach that fast twitch. I mean, firing off the ball, having that mentality, that continue. I mean, this guy will drive a guy down the field. He always plays until, you know, he hears the whistle and beyond that sometimes. I mean, this is a huge pickup for FSU once again, but it's also awesome because it's in our local community. Coach down here is Niceville's not too far away, obviously. But once again, good news for FSU is Jake Slaughter flipped from Florida State to Florida. They turn right back around a couple of days later and get Makaniole to commit to FSU from Niceville High School. So once again, positive news for the Noles, Coach.
Yeah, it is. They've just done an outstanding job over there. Can't say enough about what Coach Norville has done since he came in there. And don't forget that he resurrected a very dismal recruiting situation at Florida State when he came in there. I mean, they were looking the cupboard was bare, and it was looking even more bare for this year. And he stopped the bleeding and turned it around, and I think they went from maybe 50-something in the nation as far as recruiting, as rated by these magazines, to up in the top 17, 18, I think. So he's done a heck of a job there. They continue to do a heck of a job. As we know, and I think you talked about last week one day, the transfers, a couple from Mississippi State that played in the SEC and transferring in critical defensive players. And then the commitment by a number of young people has really put their recruiting for this year and for next year, wherever you put that deadline. But it really put it in great shape. They're going to come out with another good recruiting year. So, yes, Florida State has a lot to look up to and look for as in the coming years. They're doing a heck of a job down there.
Yeah, don't forget FAU transfer, Florida Atlantic there. Miko Dotson, of course, transferred to Florida State and is eligible. So that's the young man that had 9 interceptions last year, leading, of course, the country. So that's we're talking about a defense that needs to be revamped, as well as we know the offensive line has its problems. But once again, Coach Norvell, and like you said, the job he has done in such a short period of time, hats off to him, because it's no easy task, especially with everything going on. They're continuing to get these guys. So that's awesome to see. Coach, look, real quick here, when we see this, the Patriots released 2 undrafted quarterbacks, Jamar Smith and Brian Lewerke. Now, no surprise there, but when they also released Isaiah Zuber, Sean Riley, Will Hastings from Auburn. A lot of people thought he was going to be able to have a possibility to make the team, but with obviously things going on with COVID-19 makes it a lot tougher. 9 other guys were cut. Now, they had until August 16th as a deadline to get this done. My only question, Coach, not a big surprise these guys are cut, but cutting them a little early, is this just a sign of Belichick knows kind of who he wants here? He doesn't want to waste a whole lot of time. Is they got to get down to business?
I think that's it. I think that anytime you have bodies in camp, you have to give them repetitions in practice. And that is going to be valuable time, because with no preseason games and a limited amount of time before you open the season, you've got to make sure that each one of these reps will shorten it down to that, the repetitions in practice. Each one of the reps is counted in the right category, meaning very valuable, and you get the right people taking those reps. You can't afford to have people who you know or you feel it's almost impossible for them to make your football team. You can't afford to be giving them reps in practice, given this situation this year.
That's understandable. That makes sense there. And like we said, with the 2 quarterbacks being cut, not a big surprise. Obviously, with Jarrett Stidham and Cam Newton there, you don't want to waste any reps. I think that's important for people to understand, because reading, some people are like, well, why are you letting these guys go now? You got a couple weeks. Like you said, it's reps. And when it comes down to this offseason, you got to get guys ready. No preseason, so it's going to be a lot different. But nonetheless, a bunch of teams are obviously cutting guys early, so no surprise there. Expect more to be coming through the news headlines as you go about, especially for your favorite team. But, Coach, we got to go to a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about the New Orleans Saints as one of the teams. A question coming into training camp. We'll talk about the Saints, and obviously with the playoff woes they've had in the past years, can they get over that hump, especially with Drew Brees getting older and older. Maybe his last year, who knows. We'll talk about all that and more coming back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
Hurricane season is upon us, and although we aim to bring you the latest news in sports, we're committed to bringing the Pensacola community the latest updates and information during the 2020 hurricane season. In collaboration with our sister stations, News Radio 92.3 AM 1620 and Cat Country 98.7, stay up to date with breaking weather news and updates on the biggest storms impacting Northwest Florida by checking our Facebook pages at Cat Country 98.7, News Radio 92.3, and ESPN Pensacola.
200 South is home to World of Beer, Graffiti Pizza, Taco Agave, and Blend Lounge, and they invite you to a blood drive on Thursday, July 30th. Join the 200 South family to help give back to the community by stopping by the Big Red Bus parked on site from noon until 6 p.m. The need for donors is so great, and your donation can make a huge difference. 200 South will thank all donors with BOGO Graffiti Pizza Slices or BOGO Taco Agave Taco Cards. Check out all the details on the 200 South Facebook page.
Just felt there's a huge need in Pensacola to bring foot and ankle services, specifically orthopedic foot and ankle services, to this area. There's so much growth in Pensacola. I wanted a freestanding orthopedic foot and ankle center to do this, and as far as I can tell, this is the only one really in the country that's freestanding. Most orthopedic surgeons are part of a multi-specialty group. So we offer on-site x-rays, on-site CT scan, and on-site MRI. They can come to one place.
Visit NielsenOrthopedics.com to reserve your appointment today.
First Take, your take.
The NBA shut everything down, said, okay, with relatively few people, once we can get our hands on enough tests where testing is more widely available, we're not taking it away from people who really need it, we'll set up a bubble, strict protocols, you can't bring your family, it's only a couple months because we're almost done with our season. That approach leaves me cautiously optimistic that they can finish the whole thing.
1 till 2, weekday afternoons on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson. Well, it's Monday afternoon. Hope you're doing well. I'll jump right back into this, Coach. Now, I know we got obviously 3 or 4 minutes here, but we're talking about the training camp. Things are obviously tomorrow players are supposed to report. They've come to agreement, so things are going on as planned right now. The New Orleans Saints, we talked about Drew Brees and the awesome donation there of $5 million, again making it $10 million just in a few months here to help people out, obviously, with COVID-19. But nonetheless, we talk about the Saints as a whole, the team. Now, this is a team that's been very talented. It goes without saying. My question, though, when I look at this is, how do they get past their damaging playoff losses from the past few years, obviously including last year at home to the Vikings? We thought that it was going to be a tough game. I think a lot of people forgot about the Vikings and the potential that they had there, but nonetheless, a team that we thought was going to have a possibility of going to a Super Bowl. Coach, when you look at this, look, the talent's there. We know Coach Sean Payton is outstanding at getting his team to move forward. We think, obviously, they'll push again for a Super Bowl this season. Drew Brees, though, that's the question mark. How long will he play? I mean, this team is going to look a lot different without Drew Brees, but can they get past their postseason heartache? Coach, my question is, when you look at this team, is this a team that, with now the Tampa Bay and Tom Brady over there with what they've done, is this still looked at as a potential? I mean, I know potential means a lot of things here, but a potential Super Bowl team in your eyes?
Yeah, they're certainly a contender, no doubt about it. And Drew Brees is still Drew Brees right now. And until he retires, he's going to be Drew Brees. So I'm not concerned about that. Tampa Bay is going to be a tremendous competitor with them. In fact, I've looked at a number of people who have chosen or projected the top 4 teams in the league to make the Super Bowl, and 2 of those 4 are both New Orleans and Tampa Bay, along with Kansas City, and let's see, what was the other? There was one of them, I think Seahawks now are one of the top 4 that they're predicting will make the Super Bowl. So, at any rate, I think New Orleans is in good shape. They're in a tough division. Needless to say, don't count Atlanta totally out now. So it's going to be a great race this year in the National Football League.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be interesting with the Saints, with the Bucs, with Atlanta. I think Atlanta, like you said, Coach, I think if Todd Gurley can get that offense, if he can be the Todd Gurley of old, and this is obviously, the guy that rushed for so many yards. We'll see if he's got a renewed sense there. I think it's good for Atlanta. I think the offensive line is the question, and can that defense recover? That defense was very poor last year, but offensively, they are one of the best up there too. They say if they want to, but Matt Ryan has been fantastic. But we'll see what happens, Coach. That sound means it's time for us to go. As usual, we didn't get to everything, but you know what? We'll give it our best shot tomorrow. But, Coach, it's been an absolute pleasure.
You bet. We'll see you tomorrow, JP.
Absolutely, Coach. Appreciate it. And appreciate our listeners out there as well. Thank you for joining us right here on Talk Football. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, talking some football with you on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
Talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news, a coronavirus outbreak in the Marlins has forced some changes in the Major League Baseball schedule. The Orioles-Marlins games in Miami tonight and tomorrow postponed. The team slated to play Wednesday and Thursday in Baltimore. Tonight's Yankees-Phillies game in Philadelphia postponed. The Marlins played in Philly over the weekend. Choices MLB facing right now, not all that appealing, explains ESPN's Tim Kirkjian.
You could pause the season, but that doesn't do much good during a 60-game season. You could just see where the Marlins and the Phillies and other teams are, or you could make the very, very difficult but maybe responsible decision to say we've had an outbreak and we need to cancel the whole year.
Positive news for the NHL as it gets ready for the start of its playoff tournament. The league announced no positive COVID-19 tests over the last week. The NASCAR weekend, August 21st through the 23rd, will take place without fans at Dover International Speedway in the interest of public health.
Whether you're taking on the trail or your terrace, your deck or your dock, Nature Valley Crunchy Granola Bars will help you make the most of your outdoor time. Because a Crunchy Bar tastes like summer wherever you are.
First Take Your Take on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM, Channel 80, and ESPN News. I'm Jason Fitz. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. All of our guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. That's where you can join us also. 888 say ESPN, 888-729-3776. The big news today, obviously, is that the Marlins are dealing with the COVID-19 outbreak. Reports have it that as many as 14 players now have tested positive for the